I'm going to live to see you eat that contract. But I hope you leave enough room for my fist, because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine! I'll be back. I'm John Renton with the retro view of The Running Man from 1987, where Arnold Schwarzenegger continued his action rise and journey and whatever the fuck he was doing. He's just doing any old goddamn thing in the 80s, and then in the 90s. And it's ironic that he would say in this movie, I'm not into politics, I'm into survival, given that he would become the governor of California. Yes, lots of bad Arnie impressions are going to be happening here. By the way, I'm retro-viewing The Running Man because it's been years since I've seen it, and also they're doing a remake with Glenn Powell. And according, to interviews and basically the book by Richard Bachman, not to be confused with Tal Bachman or Bachman Turner Overdrive. Fun fact, Tal Bachman was the son of the lead singer of Baby I Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Doo-Doo. And it's the fact that Tal Bachman only ever had one hit in his life. Good job. Good job. Tal Bachman was not around when this came out, I don't think. But yes, The Running Man features a lot of ooey gooey 80s cheese. Richard Dawson playing a role that's actually pretty true to life if you read up about Richard Dawson. Terrific game show host, but oh boy. This was directed by Paul Michael Glazer. I just prefer to call him Glazer. I like to think that there's glazing going on behind the scenes. The fact that I know what glazing means probably means that I am both too out of touch and I'm on the internet too goddamn much, because I'm a near 45-year-old white guy trying to say that. Fun fact, he was Detective Dave Starsky and Starsky and Hutch. He also would go on to do Kazam. The same guy that did this did Kazam. I believe he also did The Air Up There, and that featured another basketball player. So anyway, this was written by Stephen E. D'Souza, who did Die Hard and Commando might actually be a retro view I do at some point. Really, it's not Arnie's absolute best. It's probably not even his second tier. Like, if there's 5 tiers, this is somewhere around the 3rd tier. It's close to 2nd tier. It's entertaining. It has funny moments. There are a few scenes that I don't think need to be included. The character development isn't all that great. In fact, the dystopian setting of this and the fact that they are trying to find a satellite uplink, and that's pretty much the whole premise of this, kind of reminds me of They Live. I mean, They Live came out a year after this, but it featured another wrestler, Roddy Piper, because Jesse Ventura's in this. I'm going to talk about Jesse Ventura's exploit. You know what? Now, I'm going to talk about Jesse Ventura acting in this and Predator and also that kind of stuff, and why Jesse Ventura was doing some acting suddenly after being a pretty big goddamn mainstay in professional wrestling, the AWA. He wrestled in Memphis. He went to the WWF during the initial national expansion. And did wrestle into like 1985, but then had blood clots because of whatever. He said Agent Orange from his time in the military. Whatever the reason was, Jesse Ventura would do commentary, but would try to unionize the wrestlers just before WrestleMania 2. It took place in 3 locations because Vince McMahon was the only one that came up with that. No other wrestling promotion in 1984 came up with the idea to simulcast. Oh wait, Jim Crockett Promotions did with Starrcade 1985. So that being said, actually wait, was 84? I think 84 was simulcast too. I know 85 was. Sorry, wrestling facts getting in my head. Was in Charlotte and the Atlanta Omni. But just before WrestleMania 2, Jesse Ventura tries to convince the wrestlers to unionize. But then, Hulk, that doesn't work for me, brother, because I hate the brothers Hogan. I don't feel bad about saying that, because Hogan's legacy is etched, and he torched it himself. He also torched his friendship with Jesse Ventura when he went and stooged him off. And Vince basically Vince and Jesse had a falling out, and Jesse was actually gone for a time because he wanted to get benefits, he wanted to get certain things, and Vince would be able to afford to pay for it. And Jesse then got his SAG card. He got his role in Predator, Ain't Got Time to Bleed, he got his role in this. And he would actually be doing occasional acting and stuff like that while he was doing commentary for the WWF. And the only reason he came back, and it was WWF at the time, the only reason he came back is because Dick Ebersol, NBC, And, anybody involved in Saturday Night's Main Event was like, we wanted Jesse Ventura on the show. Why is Jesse Ventura not on the show? Nothing against the other people you have in your company, but we want Jesse Ventura. So Vince had to acquiesce, had to make sure that he got Jesse back. And Jesse eventually, would just become arguably the best commentator of his time. Him and Gorilla Monsoon were a pretty underappreciated team. This has gone completely away from the Running Man, but it's far more interesting to talk about here. Jesse Ventura, however, would end up leaving in 1990 because I believe, if I remember right, he was at SummerSlam 90 because he was going to do a video game with Sega, and he's going to lend his likeness and that kind of stuff. Vince didn't want to do that because of contractual stuff and everything, and it was a video game thing in general, and that led to a falling out. Ventura would eventually sue Vince, would win, and then in court, Vince would have to admit that Hogan was the one that told on Ventura, and Ventura was taken aback because that was somebody that he thought he had at least a mild camaraderie with. Maybe it wasn't like an insanely great friendship, but at least it was something where there was a healthy respect as far as professionals. Nope, Hogan stooged him off. And Jesse actually would be out of wrestling until WCW brought him in Super Bowl 92. And then Ventura would conveniently leave right around the time that Hulk Hogan came into WCW. He would do television tapings for a bit and stuff like that, but I believe he would not be part of the company much longer, would be gone, and has made sporadic appearances, was governor of Minnesota, conspiracy crackpot, all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing is Jesse Ventura's journey into Hollywood started here. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Ben Richards. Apparently, somebody that named this was a fan of the Fantastic Four. And Ben basically is accused of a crime he didn't commit. Then he tries to get to, his brother. His brother, is taken away by the government because of the dystopian setting of 2017. Where, government is trying to control everything and stuff like that. Good thing that didn't happen in that, term or in this current term with a bunch of crackpots that idiots voted in. But I digress. Basically, there is a game show called The Running Man where convicts are stalkers and other people have a chance to basically earn any freedom, earn a cash prize, whatever. The thing is, there has never been a winner, but they didn't count on Ben Richards, played by Arnold, to be the player to break the whole system. So, there is also a semi-love interest that becomes a love interest later on. Maria Conchita Alonso, who plays Amber. She was attractive, say that much. There's Yaphet Kato. He, pretty good character actor as well. Jim Brown plays the character Fireball, and gets to harass women, which is true to life for Jim Brown, that is. James Brown may have harassed women, I don't know. Jim Brown, the former football player that was a great advocate for stuff, but also read up on all the stuff that he did to women. Read up on it. I'm not going to repeat it here. Jim Brown may have done some good in the world, but he did a lot of shitty things in the world and doesn't deserve a lot of goddamn sympathy. And fuck Jim Brown, I'm glad he's dead. Jesse Ventura plays Captain Freedom. Seeing him do Ventura aerobics was wild. The hair was insane. Richard Dawson, yes, the longtime game show host, was in this. Sven Olt Thorson, who's a great character actor. We who are about to die salute you. That guy from Gladiator. Mick Friedland, a lot of good people in this. Really, there's quite a few actors that you will recognize. Had a $27 million budget, which would be $77.1 million a day. $8.1 million opening, $23.1 million a day. $38.1 million gross, and that would be $109 million a day. So, not exactly a smash hit. That's the thing. Other Arnie movies had been maybe more modestly budgeted, maybe had better returns. I'm not saying this was a complete flop, but it wasn't exactly a box office success. So, we would have others that would follow and everything. He would do comedies into the turn of the decade. And now let's just start talking about Running Man. So, yeah, there's a part where he's flying in a helicopter. He's like, there's like a food thing where people are trying to get food because they're starving. The crowd is unarmed. I will not fire on civilians. Screw you. To hell with you. I will not fire on other people. Sorry. So sorry. But yeah, the fact that all this stuff is, dystopian and everything kind of looks like Tacoma, to be perfectly honest. And set a little bit later, Arnie has a beard. Arnie has a few friends, Weiss, and, Laughlin, Yafet. Their plan is basically they have collars around their goddamn neck. They must stop the Sonic Boom deadline. Sonic Boom. Cody's going to play Guile in the Street Fighter movie. Have fun hearing him say Sonic Boom. Sonic. So, their plan, they have to basically have Weiss hack the whole system, free them from their exploding collars. And, well, he does that, except one guy ends up getting blown up because he jumps the gun. Shootout, bingo bango. Now everything's going to go, and he's going to go see his brother. He being Ben. I called him Arnie the Builder because he literally looked like Bob the Builder, just on massive amounts of steroids. And he goes to his brother's apartment, except Amber is living there. And he basically decides, hey, the smart thing is I'm going to tie her up. I see it's okay when actors do it. So, the idea is he's going to use her travel pass, because you got to have a travel pass to go. He's in a very, very, very bright Hawaiian shirt. And she ends up betraying him. He ends up getting caught. And now Richard Dawson's Damien Killian is taking a special interest in Ben, because he has interest from the people. He looks like a different, type of beast. He is. And also, by the way, your friends are captured. Oh, and your friends are going to be part of this game. So, yeah, the setting is very game show-like. Kind of look like a mini sportatorium. Or where the AWA did the Teen Challenge series, just there were more fans for this. More wrestling references, why not? The dancers, the theme for the dancers, the theme started the same way as Bruce the Barber Beefcake's theme. Have fun on hearing that. The synth, the sparkle, and Dawson just having a blast. Pretty much playing himself. Not with himself, at least not that we saw on camera. So, basically, Amber ends up also getting caught because she doesn't quite believe that Ben was, this terrible person, even though she made sure not to get caught and rat him out. She finds the real footage, but gets caught and now is put in the game as well. So Ben basically has 3 people to protect. In a game he doesn't particularly understand. In a game he doesn't really want to be part of. And deviating from the book, it's still fun 80s cheese. I don't think this is an insult like the Lawnmower Man. But, basically Dawson starts it with, without further ado, it's time to start running. And that's basically it right there. There is, the first stalker they have is Sub-Zero, Professor Sub-Zero, Professor Toru Tanaka, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the journeyman wrestler that was a pretty popular mainstay in a few territories. Wrestled Bruno Sammartino. Started in 1958 and wrestled all the way till 1986. He was born in 1930, so he wrestled into his 50s. But yeah, check out, Google Toru Tanaka, and you will probably be impressed by how many people he's faced if you know anything about wrestling. If you don't, you probably won't know any of those names. But it was kind of cool. He, had it was a hockey setting they had. He had a blade for a stick, exploding pucks, barbed wire that Arnie would use to basically strangle him and stuff like that, kill him. And okay, it's a barbed wire match. So then we get Buzzsaw with his motherfucking chainsaw, so come and get. And Dynamo, who basically has a light bright mohawk, and essentially can shock people as long as he's plugged into something. Or has a battery plugged up his ass. I'm not here to judge, but it's a bit weird. Amber, being forced into this game, obviously she realizes, well shit, I made a mistake here. trying to piss off the government, but it's obvious that Ben is their best chance to get out of all this. Laughlin, unfortunately, does end up getting killed, gashed in the neck. Weiss ends up getting shocked by dynamo. But there is a funny scene with the chainsaw-wielding psycho that is Buzzsaw. Eventually, while getting drugged around, Arnie gets free, ties the ties, and boom, ends up killing Buzzsaw by basically just saying, here, have it, keep it, and shoves the chainsaw up his dick. And it's like, where is he? He had to split down. I'm just skipping over some of this stuff. I'm just talking about my favorite scenes because it's not a deep narrative of any variety. I mean, that is one thing I think we can safely say. Die Hard was a much better movie. Commando, I haven't seen Commando in way longer than this, so I may have to rewatch that at some point, possibly in November. But I'm just kind of trying to go with fun stuff, whether it's being remade or not. Weiss ends up getting shot by Dynamo, who just uses lightning and everything, like he's Emperor Lightbright Palpatine. Yes, let the beep, 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 now you're playing Simon grow through you. And then Arnie basically decides that he is going to, fool him by having him drive up a goddamn embankment. He's like, a light bulb, a Christmas tree, come on. And then he won't kill him. He won't kill an unarmed man. Meanwhile, the audience participation and stuff like that, Dawson being a bit of a creep to, not like Gene Rayburn, I don't think actually seemed like much of a creep. I mean, the kissing some of the female contestants, probably not the best thing. Probably not the best thing with optics. But I think Gene was a lot easier to deal with than Richard. So, the other people are dead, so now it's down to Ben and Amber. And Killian's getting a little bit nervous and offers Ben that deal. It's like, I'm going to, ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine. Treat you like a marionette. If it bleeds, we can kill it. And, so Jim Brown plays a character Fireball. I used to have a mouse named Fireball, by the way. Saved her from being eaten by the science teacher's snake. That's not a euphemism. He really had a snake there. So that being said, he has a jetpack thing with flame stuff and can use a flamethrower. Ben starts getting popular to the point that they are making bets on him. Bets Richards, as it were. And there was this character named Mick that is referenced a little bit later on. Amber finds the winners. They're all dead. They got to find this hidden signal area to send out the truth. Beam out this signal, like in They Live. Well, actually, in They Live, they had to destroy something. The satellite control. But, essentially, Ben and Amber are searching for this stuff. Amber ends up almost getting cornered by Fireball, and then Ben rips up his stuff. He's like, why can't I fly? Why can't I fly? Because you're not going to heaven, Jim Brown. You're going down there to hell. Throwing a woman off a balcony. That's one thing. Google it. So that being said, Arnie blows him up with a flare with a hot head. And then, basically, they... Captain Freedom, Jesse Ventura, is wearing like this weird, goofy, almost like robot versus the Aztec Money robot gear, if you remember that, which actually has some really funny MST. I gotta rewatch that. But he's like, I used to kill people with my bare hands. I'm calling bullshit on this because he's been retired for a while, kind of playing up the fact he's been retired as a wrestler. I mean, granted, he said a decade. He's only been retired as a wrestler for a couple of years at this point. But they decide to use super state-of-the-art 80s digital technology to deepfake and make it seem like Ben is dead and Amber's dead. And make it seem like Freedom killed him, but he just killed stunt people. Well, meanwhile, they're down in this bunker with this character Mick. There's these weird guys. One kind of looks like an 80s Timothy Chalamet with a beret. Chal beret, as it were. And he ends up leading a revolt to basically stop the people from finding the signal, because now the truth is out and they see that Killian is terrible, and that this footage actually shows that Ben was not a bad guy and tried to stop any firing upon innocent civilians. And the Timothy Chalamet character basically says, "Don't touch that dial." We'll be right back after these important messages. Oh, Dynamo's back and decides to almost SA Amber for whatever reason. I think they could have left that scene out. I mean, yeah, she called him Dickless, but did we really need, even in 87, did we really need that? I don't think so. Don't think we did. Because even watching it at like 20, even watching it at 30, I really didn't think we needed it. So, now they know the truth. The audience is getting pissed. Oh, and also, there's a character, Sven. That character, Sven, basically is kind of being tired of being made fun of by Killian, and essentially just looks at Arnie and says, "You know what? I got a good deal on steroids and I left." It's funny that he said that to Arnie. And while the audience is gone, just like an AWA taping, pretty much from 88 onwards, they end up... Look at Super Clash 3. Look at Super Clash 3 compared to even like, Super Sunday. Good God, it was insane. That being said, enough wrestling references. We see Killian put in the goddamn, little tube thing, and he tells him drop dead, and then he blows up while going through a tunnel and everything. The net doesn't catch him. Well, that hit the spot. And everything's fine. He has a romance with Amber, and there we go. That is it. That is The Running Man from 1987. Fun movie. It's not Arnie's best. It's definitely not his worst as far as action movies. It's entertaining. I mean, are there things that don't hold up? Sure. The 80s tech, I think, didn't even look futuristic then. But it was still cool. So, that being said, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Whiteland. Until we go running along again, happy trails to you.